capitalize on the job opportunities in this field. Whether you're a seasoned professional, Data Protection Academy training program. In today's digital age, the protection of sensitive information is more crucial than ever before. With the increasing demand for data protection professionals, now is the perfect time to capitalize on the job opportunities in this field. Whether you're a seasoned professional or new to the workforce, understanding data protection is essential for anyone working with sensitive information, from healthcare to finance and beyond. Throughout the program, you'll dive into real-world case studies, participate in hands-on training sessions, and engage with industry professionals to build a solid foundation in data protection. Data protection is not just a job, it's a mission. Enroll in the Data Protection Academy training program and make a difference in the world of data security.
The register. Protecting sensitive data is more critical than ever before. But what happens when data breaches occur? The Data Breach Register serves as a centralized database where organizations are required to report incidents involving the unauthorized access, disclosure, or loss of personal information. Why organizations need a data breach register? Mandatory reporting. Organizations must promptly notify the Nigeria Data Protection Commission and affected individuals in the event of a data breach. This ensures swift action to mitigate risks and safeguard personal information. Detailed records. The register maintains detailed records of reported breaches, including the nature of the incident, the type of data compromised, and the remedial actions taken by the organization. Compliance and enforcement. Non-compliance with data breach reporting requirements can result in significant penalties and reputation damage for organizations. The register helps enforce regulatory standards and promotes a culture of data protection. Here is a step-by-step guide on how to use the Data Breach Documentation Register. About the organization. Fill the name of the organization. Fill the registration number issued by the Corporate Affairs Commission. Fill the location where the organization is physically situated or conducts its operations. Fill the official email address of the organization. From the list below, pick the most appropriate based on the nature of your core business activity. Data Protection Officer. Fill the name of the designated Data Protection Officer. Fill the email address of the Data Protection Officer. Fill the phone number of the Data Protection Officer. Fill the Data Protection Officer's acquired data protection privacy certifications. Details of data breach. A unique number that indicates where in the register a data breach is reported and documented. A unique identification number or code assigned to each documented data breach. Specify the exact date and time the data breach occurred if known. Specify the exact date and time the data breach was discovered. Provide the number of data subjects affected. If the number is not known, give an approximate number. Description of breach. Explain the process by which a security breach resulted in the unintentional or deliberate loss, alteration, disclosure, or access to personal data. Measures taken or to be taken. Did you inform all individuals affected? Indicate yes or no. List other regulators informed. When did you first notify the NDPC of the data breach? If yes, indicate the date and time. Remedial action. Kindly state the remedial action taken. To place an order, kindly visit dataprotectionacademy.com.ng store or call 0816 82444.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's training. We are in Module 6 now, and we'll be learning about domain security and domain protection. For all participants who have been following us, we say a very big thank you. Today's training will also be informative so that as Chief Information Security Officers, we can be able to protect our digital assets. So let's get started. So first of all, we need to define what is a domain. A domain could be a unique name that identifies a website on the internet. For example, www.flowlist.com. It's a domain name. However, when the computer is interacting with that domain name, it is changed into numbers, which we call IP addresses. So your company ideally should have a domain, which is your brand name, right? So we are going to learn how to protect our domain from being hijacked or being compromised. So now you need to understand that there are two parts of a domain. Basically, you have the top level domain, which is known as the TLD, and we have the second level domain, which is the SLD. So now the TLD will be what you call the extension, the .com, the .com.ng, the .net, right? The .co.uk. So that has the top level domain. Then the second part of the domain, which is what usually associates your brand, would be the flowlist in the flowlist.com, because that gives you your brand. So as a chief information security officer, you need to have these basics. Now let's try to see what domain squatting is. Now, domain squatting can also be called cyber squatting. It's a practice whereby an individual or a cyber cartel tries to register, sell, or use a domain name with the intent of profiting from it. So, take for example, you have a brand. Somebody can go and squat an extension that you know you will need, you understand, and typically we want to trade it off and make profit out of it. Or maybe the person will make a website and also use your own domain extension that you are yet to own to lure your customers to make transactions on that platform. So let me give an example. Take for example, a bank name is called ABC Bank, right? And they have a domain called abcbank.com. Somebody can go and buy abcbank.com.ng and begin to lure their customers using promotion activities. And in so doing, they may likely provide their sensitive information like biometrics. They may also provide informations like their BVN number, their NIN, right? And they will use this to carry out cyber related crime. So, what does the law says about cyber squatting? But before we go there, let's look at the three types of domain squatting. So we have brand squatting. Take for example, you have Coca-Cola, and somebody goes in and register coca-cola.net. Now, somebody going through the site may really not pay attention, but because there's something like Coca-Cola related, the person will believe he or she is interfacing with a Coca-Cola brand. You understand? So that would be a brand squatting. Then there's also what we call typo squatting. So we all know how Google is spelled, right? Google, right? And the website is www.google.com, right? Somebody can go and register google.com. So you may not pay attention when you are going through the site, and you will most likely provide your personal information on such platform. Unknown to you, you are on a fraudulent site that just look alike with the main site. Then there's also the personal name squatting. Take for example celebrities, and they are mostly victims of such scenario. So as a chief information security officer, one of the things you should advise your brand is um, any extension that you know would be used by a cyber criminal to lure people to go to the internet and feel they are interfacing with that brand, you should try as much as possible to acquire it. So you should get your .ng extension, you should get your .com.ng extension, you should get your .org extension, you should get your .net extension, so that your brand reputation will not be abused. So now, I don't know if you've heard about the Cybercrime Prohibition, Prevention Act 2024. So section 25 of that act says any person who intentionally takes or make use of a name, business name, trademark, domain name, or other word or phrase registered, owned, or in use by an individual, body corporate, or belonging to either the federal, state, or local government in Nigeria on the internet or any other computer network without authority or right and for the purpose of interfering with the use by the owner, registrant, or legitimate prior user commits an offense under this act and shall be liable on conviction to imprisonment for a term not more than 2 years or a fine not more than 5 million naira or both fine and imprisonment. So that's an offense. However, because it's lucrative, people will venture into it. So rather than go to the court to seek justice, why not you get all your domain extension and protect your digital assets and your customers from being victims of cyber crime? If you have any question, you can drop it on the comment section. I would address those questions so we can be more informed. So I will go further. Now, in awarding any penalty against an offender under this section, a court shall have regard to the following: a refusal by the offender to relinquish upon formal request by the rightful owner of the name, business name, trademark, domain name, or other word or phrase registered, owned, or in use by an individual, body corporate, or belonging to either the federal, state, local government in Nigeria. So what they are saying in essence is you should write to this person who owns this domain that looks like yours if he's willing or she is willing to relinquish it. Second says an attempt by the offender to obtain compensation in any form for the release to the rightful owner for use of the name, business name, trademark, domain name, or other word or phrase registered, owned, or in use by an individual, body corporate, or belonging to either the federal, state, or local government of Nigeria. So in essence, you are not supposed to get any financial benefit when you carry out such actions. So most likely, maybe you did it without knowing. So there is room for you to relinquish that domain back to the owner. But just as I said, because it's lucrative, because of the intention of people who perpetrate such crime, you may not be able to get their data online because they will make their details to be what? Secretive, right? So in order not to go into all these litigations and having a bad brand reputation, get as much domain extension that you feel makes your brand unique and protected. So now, what are the best practices to prevent your domain from being hijacked? First of all, you must know that you can renew your domain annually. You can also pay for it longer than a year. But in all, what you should do is you should make sure that your renewal is automatic. You should make it an auto renewal because you may forget. There's a financial institution in Nigeria which, within the last few weeks, had this issue, and it was a very big issue because of uh, some reasons that I will not want to mention. I won't be mentioning the name of the financial institution, but for those who are on the WhatsApp group, they already have that information. Again, we're also going to learn in this training how to use the WHOIS monitoring tool to know when our domain is due for renewal. Peradventure, we don't know. And we'll also use that to show you how organizations also have made efforts to pay for their domain more than 10 years from now so that it's not available for people to get. You also need to know that you must secure your domain account using two-factor authentication, because if you depend only on your username and password, that can be breached, and that will also allow somebody to hijack your domain account. Then you must always update your contact information. Maybe your email address you used in registering the email, you no longer have access to it, right? Anytime they send notification for you to renew that domain, you can't receive it, so you will not get that information. So you can always update your contact information and always make use of a reputable domain registrar so that your domain will not be hijacked or maybe transferred without your consent. So now, why are we making this topic um, important, right? Because everybody has a domain, yes. Why should I care about it? It's your brand we're talking about. If you don't secure your brand, third parties or competitor may get similar domains and redirect your customers. Sometimes you go to the internet, you type a brand, and before you know, other competitors' details come in. So you don't want people to channel traffic that should be yours ordinarily to their own site. So that is one of the key reasons why you should care about having as many extensions as possible. Also, you don't want people to cyber squat your domain and now resell this domain to you at a higher price. So you don't want to be a victim of cyber squatting, though the law prohibits it. But as far as we know, that is not enough. You understand? Then you don't want customers to be confused. Are they interfacing with your company or they are interfacing with another brand? So you need to understand that having as many extensions as you can afford is very key. And this will help you protect your digital assets. Now, when you do business in Nigeria, you localize your business, right? But when you have a .com, it's a global brand because more people, when they search, it also gives you a very high SEO optimization, that is search engine optimization. So you should get as many extension .com.ng. If you also do business within Africa, you can also get other countries domain, right? So that your brand can be localized in their market and people can search for it and find it easily. Then it will also enhance your SEO, just as I mentioned previously. Now, these are things we need to know as CISOs. You have approximately 75 to 90 days once your domain expires for you to renew it. Else, it will be pulled into the open market and anybody can get it. So when a domain owner fails to renew his or her domain, there are phases the domain go through. The first phase is the is. So you can still register it because you are still the legitimate owner within a 45-day period. There's also what they call the redemption period. After the grace period, the domain enters the redemption period, which lasts between 30 to 45 days. During this time, you can reclaim it because you are the owner, but you have to pay a higher price. So if you fail to renew your domain on time, it means it will cost you more during the redemption period. Then there's a stage called the pending deletion phase. Now, if the domain is not renewed during the redemption period, it enters the pending deletion phase, which lasts for 5 to 7 days. During this time, the domain is locked and cannot be renewed by you, the owner, or transferred. Finally, it becomes released to the public. Once the pending deletion phase ends, the domain is released into the pool of available domains and anyone can register it at that point in time. So that's the phase your domain will go through when it expires. So let's go to the Q&A session. Uh, I'll ask questions. I expect participants to just drop the options on the comment section. So what's the best way to prevent accidental domain expiration? We have option A, we have option B, option C, and D. Okay, let's see how true it is. Okay, C is actually correct. Thank you, Savior. Thank you, Hafia Microfinance Bank. Thank you, Mr. Hostin. Thank you, Peruski. Thank you, Mr. Kazim. Yes, so we'll go to the next question. What does the registrar lock feature do? What does the registrar lock feature do? You can drop the options that you feel is the most appropriate answer. Okay, someone is asking a question. I'll attend to your question. So we have another option C. Let's see what is it. Look at the question very well. What does the registrar lock feature do? We have option A, prevents unauthorized transfer of a domain. B, hides personal information in the WHOIS database. C, ensures the domain automatically renews. D, blocks domain expiration. So let's see. It's actually A. It's actually A. Savior got it right. Mr. Emmanuel Adjacent also got it right. Mr. Austin also got it right. So question 3. Why is it important to register multiple domain extensions? Why is it important to register multiple domain extensions? Okay, let's see the answer. The answer is C, to prevent others from registering those extensions and misusing your brand. Because if somebody registers an extension and your customers ordinarily knows you with a brand name and somebody gets that same brand name with .com.ng, your customer may not be able to distinguish who is genuine and who is fake, right? So you have to get as many extensions as possible. So question 4, why is it important to register? Okay, I think that's a repetition of that. So let's go to question 5. How long does a typical domain redemption period last after expiration? How long does a typical domain redemption period last after expiration? Okay, let's see. It's actually B, 30 to 45 days. Okay, okay. So you can follow us on social media. These are our handles to get informed information when it comes to your cybersecurity and data protection need. At this point, I'm going to use a tool, which is the WHOIS website, to explain further all what we've been learning today. I have one question which I'm going to answer, and keep the questions coming so that we can be able to treat all those questions. So, as a CISO, this website should be handy to you. It's called the www.whois.com. So it's like a central database for all domains that have been registered. Now, I'm not going to be using a Nigerian domain because I don't want to get into problem with any company saying, why did you put my domain in a public and training? So I'll be using foreign domains for learning purpose. So let me go to whatsapp.com. This is Wuhi's database, right? So I'm going to search for WhatsApp. So you can see that WhatsApp was registered 2008 and expires 2032. So they've paid for their domain up till 2032, right? And if you look further, they have so many extensions, right? So many extensions. So you cannot come and say, okay, you want to have whatsapp.com.ng and all those things because they've got all those extensions. So most of us we just do 1 year, which is kind of risky. If you don't pay attention, it could get into the public pool. So let me try another one, which is Starbucks, also a foreign domain. You can see they paid 1 year, so it will expire 2024 October, right? 24th of October, which is roughly next month. But it was registered far back as 1993. You understand? So what you should do is use this tool to be able to check out your domain and also see all those extensions that you need to buy, right? I purposely don't use a Nigerian domain so that I don't get into trouble with any company. But you can use this to search for any domain, irrespective of the country the domain is hosted or who owns the domain. And it will give you detailed information about the domain. So I'll also drop it on the chat box so that you can have it. So thank you everyone for joining us for our training. And just as we always do, when you go to the WhatsApp group, if you are here to join the WhatsApp group, you will get this information before the close of the day. and every other participant will get it over the weekend because we need to push it to each of our clients, right? So the training materials will be available on the WhatsApp group today, but over the weekend, every person will get the training slides. Thank you and remain cybersecurity conscious.